Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's regularly scheduled City Council meeting. If I can ask you all to please rise for the invocation. Please remain standing for the Hope Christian Church.
Let us pray. Most wise and trustworthy God, we come before you as citizens of this wonderful city, each with ideas and dreams, and we ask for guidance and wisdom as we work together to bring about the best for Fairhope. I ask for your blessing upon our mayor, the city council, and for all who are present this evening. May we each seek your will and purpose and make decisions that promote justice, harmony, welfare, and peace for all of our citizens. For in the name of our precious Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for that, Pastor Malagani. Okay, first order of business tonight is to approve the minutes of the September 19th work session budget meeting, the special call city council meeting, and the minutes of the 24th of September regular city council meeting, and the 24th of September work session and agenda meetings. Does anybody have any additions, deletions, or changes to those minutes? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve those minutes as submitted. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll ask for it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay. Also, council, I forgot one order of business. I did want to tell you that I have removed agenda item 11 regarding the legal services, pending further input from the mayor and council on that. So that's being removed from tonight's agenda. Mayor Wilson, your report, please.
Thank you, Council President. Our museum has a new book for sale, Fairhope Stories. It's available in the museum store. When you drop by to get a copy, be sure to introduce yourself to our new museum director and learn about the new events he's planning. Also coming to the museum during the film festival is Michael Marr's new documentary, also entitled Fairhope Stories. They're not related, but they both share a title. This documentary is about 45 minutes long and filled with stories about people, places, past happenings in Fairhope, and will be airing again during the film festival. Donnie Barrett, longtime director of our Fairhope Museum of History, retired a week ago today. I was honored to present a plaque to him and thank him for his years of dedicated service to the city of Fairhope. He has spent most of his life discussing local history. Now it's time to celebrate the man himself, who has served a very important role in our local history. I want to thank him once again for helping us preserve Fairhope's past with his instrumental help creating the museum, and also for his willingness to serve as the new president of the Friends of the Museum. At one of our recent supervisor meetings, Darby Wick from the History Museum presented the Curator's Corner. She had items from the days of J.B. Gaston, our founder. In telling his story, she informed us that he was known as the darling of Fairhope. Always willing to help out, Jeremy Morgan in our electric department stepped up to the plate and announced that he would be willing to carry on the city tradition as the darling of Fairhope. I want to thank him for this selfless gesture. Thank you. Officer David Miller will now serve as one of our school resource officers. We already have two SROs at the high school and middle school, and he will divide his time until we hire all of them in all of our schools among the elementary, intermediate, and J. Larry Newton schools. Thank you, Officer Miller, for joining the team, and thank you to our SROs and all they do for our children. In honor of October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the Pink Palooza was held today at the Nick Center, and was a resounding success, with lunch provided by Sandra's Place in downtown Fairhope and Zapp's Potato Chips. Potato chips. I just said that. I don't even know why. Okay. Participants attended presentations from local physicians and healthcare professionals, fashion, professional fittings from Dillard's lingerie department, and makeup by Estee Lauder. Proceeds from the silent auction benefited breast cancer or in the breast center at Thomas Hospital. I will also be joining the team of riders at Thomas Hospital as part of our first ever Witches Ride Pink team for the breast cancer awareness. The team will be made up of 10 riders, 5 from the city of Fairhope and 5 from Thomas Hospital. Tree lights have been strung on our trees, and testing will be completed this week. So the Fairhope tree lighting will be held next month. We will be addressing a more streamlined, efficient, effective way to deliver customer service. When our citizens call or email with a problem, just go ahead and keep that up. When citizens call or email with problems, this is who you'll get. And I'm just kidding. It's going to be customer service. Our goal is to answer questions fast, resolve issues, reduce callbacks and frustrations. This will not happen overnight, but please know that this is one of our initiatives to deliver the very best service to our citizens. Lastly and sadly, I would like to ask for a moment of silence. Joe Scott, a retired city employee and father of my executive assistant, Gail Fogarty, passed away last Thursday. City employees remember Joe with fondness. Our thoughts and prayers are with Gail and her family at this time. Thank you, and that's all I have for the mayor report.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Wilson. We'll move to public participation. If you have anything you'd like to address the council on regarding agenda items 5 through 19, if you'll please come forward to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Remember, this is for agenda items only. Item 20 on tonight's agenda are for those comments in which do not pertain to agenda items. So I'll open the floor.
I'm Mary Beth Rouse, and I'm with Children of the World Adoption Agency. Pat Lee, our founder, couldn't be here tonight due to some health concerns, and I'm talking to you about agenda number 19. And this is our Festival of Lights. For those of you that don't know, Children of the World, we've been in practice for over 20 years in Fairhope. We are an adoption agency. We also have a program that serves needs in our community as well. And we have always enjoyed a lot of community involvement in our events that we've had up until about 5 or 10 years ago, when social media boom and interest started going elsewhere. We started noticing a downward trend in attendance and this general sentiment of, oh my goodness, I didn't even know y'all existed, or I didn't know anything about you all. So it's been sad for us to try and compensate for that, which brought us to last year, Festival of Lights, this new idea that we had to garner a little bit of community participation with us, spread a little bit of awareness, and have a just all-around good time. We expected it to be really small. The idea was to just meet a few groups of people, a few families at the Fairhope Community Park. It was in the evening, so everybody would bring in dessert to share, let the kids play on the playground, let's just fellowship, have an opportunity to kind of come together in prayer as well. And then we made our way down to the bay, and we released these beautiful sky lanterns, and it was beautiful. And there was about 35, 40 lanterns released. Leading up to that, we did everything that we could to make sure that we had examined safety precautions, make sure that it was allowed, it was legal, and that we bought eco-friendly lanterns. Did the best that we could. It was a great time. And what was really magical about the whole thing was that our message of what we wanted that to represent really resonated with the community. And we wanted people to understand that while you're one light, is impactful and it shines a light into the darkness as a community when we all get together. It's magical. And it was really cool. The next day, the next Monday, we had people calling going, what was this? This was amazing. I saw it from down in Point Clear, or I saw it from down in Daphne. I want to be a part of it next year. So great, wonderful. This summer, we started working on planning this year's Festival of Lights. But knowing that we would have a lot more attention and a lot more participation, my role in the agency was to make sure that we did everything we could to make sure it was safe, there was no environmental impact. So I started researching and talking with members of the city event planning people, making sure it wasn't illegal, making sure that I had spoken to police, fire, Coast Guard, gotten everybody's perspective on how to make this event safe. And then also I reached out to some wildlife and eco specialists to make sure that what we were releasing was in fact, like there was a best possible product that we knew about it. City officials, as far as they knew, everything was okay. Police and fire safety both gave us some pointers, some tips, wanted us to illuminate the South Park area by the pier. They also wanted us to move the entire event from the city park down to the pier itself, because as massive people trying to walk from one to the other would create a safety problem. So we did all these things. We also researched and found a better lantern product that would not float as high into the sky. That was a suggestion of the Coast Guard. And then also one that, as far as we knew, would not only dissipate and not impact the ecosystem, but it would also dissipate into like a form of fish food. So it was safe, well, as far as we knew. Come to find out, A, it's not allowed, it's illegal. Good to know. And two, those products, there's some debate on whether or not they're actually wildlife eco-friendly. So as an agency, we immediately said, okay, no, then we're not gonna, no lanterns, fine. We understand and we support that, and we will stop, we will not do this anymore. But then that left us with, what do we do now? And something really special that happened with this event is that we garnered about 3,000 people watching us. Not saying that they're going to come. Yeah, I don't know if y'all are familiar with how social media works and with the events. 3,100 people said, I'm watching you. Like, that's interesting. About 150 people said, okay, yeah, cool, I'm coming. You know, there's obviously 3,000 people weren't going to show up. But what was great for us was that we had finally some recognition again. So we wanted to capitalize and still have an event, bring awareness to our community. We didn't want it to go away, but now we had eliminated our entertainment. So we were asking, we would love to move this back to the community park. Again, nothing, we're not releasing anything, no flames whatsoever. I do intend to use some glow sticks with the kiddos to have safety. I have contracted with a lighting company I had initially down there at the South Park. They're allowing us to move our obligation to them to the Fairhope Community Park to make sure it's well lit. The party would cease at 7 o'clock, which is what nightfall should be, about that time, 7:02, which is the park rules that it's to close at nighttime. So we're just asking permission if y'all would consider letting us still have this event. It's really important to us that we go ahead and go forward with it, and just invite the community out to join us once again. And it won't be as big as what we had anticipated down there at the Bay, and that's okay, because our motto is one less orphan. And if one family walks away from one of our events saying, you know what, I'm ready to learn more about adoption or how I can be an impact in this orphan crisis, then that's enough, and that's good. Little sidebar story is my family, 20 plus years ago, came to the very first Children of the World event. It was an open house back when our office was behind the Fairhope United Methodist Church, the little old Boy Scout building that was back there. And my family came to that event just as a friend of Pat Lee. I was the only child at the time. My parents were struggling with infertility, wanted to adopt, thought that international adoption was far out of reach. Why not? I mean, going across the world to get a child must be much harder and more expensive than adopting a child in the United States. Not so true. So they met Pat. They came just to an event, just to bring a potluck, just to bring a casserole, and we walked away finding out more, and my life was dramatically impacted. I was 13 years old. At 14, I got to go over to China, see a whole new world. I have two beautiful sisters who are also, part of this community growing up and impacting. So for me, that whole mission of let's do this thing, let's have a community party so more people know about it, because if one less orphan, that means one more family is impacted, and that trickle effect, it's huge. So what y'all say? Let's do it, have a little festival. Anything that y'all have, any concerns, like we're okay, but we want to make sure you do these things, we're on board. We're a part of your team as well. We've served this community well for 20 years, and we're going to keep doing that. So we just right now kind of want to know, can we do it?
I say yes,
Yeah.
but I have no vote.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
I'm just glad you didn't say when you said it changed our life dramatically that you didn't go home from the party with a baby or something.
Oh, no, I was 13, yeah. I didn't
know.
not too long afterward.
Okay. Floor is still open for public participation on agenda items. Jeremy, was that a cigarette in your hand on the poster? Mm-hmm. Didn't know you were a smoker. Huh. All right, I'm going to close public participation. We're going to move on to council comments. Councilman Robinson?
I do not have any comment.
Councilman Conyers?
No comment here either.
Councilman Boone?
No comment.
All right. I have a few comments. Recently, a week ago in the Planning Commission meeting, there is a parcel that's been brought up. It's being considered to be rezoned from R1, and they're asking to be rezoned B2. And we've recently approved a couple of PUDs on that Greeno Road corridor. And we've put some, we accepted some self-imposed restrictions, and we put some restrictions on some of those PUDs. And because that came up last Monday, it's becoming painfully obvious to me that these requests are going to be coming at us at 100 miles an hour. And we have a visual preference survey coming up, I believe maybe starting in November, which is when the work will start. We've already hired someone to perform that visual preference survey, and it'll take them a while to perform it, and then we will have to probably have some public debate or public presentations about that, present it to our residents to get an idea of what they'd like to see around Greeno Road. Well, at this meeting, when you start seeing this, you know that as we're asked to approve these, we're just going to see more and more and more. And so we may not establish that overlay district if that's what we establish, or we may not take any action on that corridor other than this piecemeal action that we're being asked to take at planning commissions. And that, since it's a rezoning request, will come before the council. I have a big concern over what's going to happen in the interim and what that's going to look like, because I'm worried that the more of these we see, we might get painted in a corner as to what we allow on Greeno Road, and we don't want to make that mistake as a council or mayor. And I think that we need to, and I don't know what the answer is right now. I think we need to take some action very soon to slow that down. And I don't know what we can do lawfully. Can we put a moratorium on that corridor? Can we put a temporary overlay district over it and put a moratorium on that? But I feel we have to do something, or we're going to lose control of that corridor. And I think we need to do something before we lose control of it. So, council, I don't have the answers. It's funny that came up last Monday. And I did have one citizen call me twice over the last week with that concern, and I told that citizen I would bring it up tonight. And so I think we should all be concerned and start thinking of ways to address it before it's too late. So I just ask y'all to think about that. Wayne, I'll allow you some of my time to speak if you want to say some words.
Yes, sir, if I could, just to mention the visual preference survey is November the 8th. That's going to be a very important process, as Council President has mentioned, where the public has a chance to tell us what they want to see there. And I think that will certainly help kind of define what needs to happen on Greeno Road. And I concur with the sentiments that Council President has as far as the direction of Greeno Road. It's a very important corridor coming into the city. It's the most traveled one coming in the city, and we have seen an uptick in the requests that we have. And from our perspective, once the visual preference survey is held, I would assume probably 30 to 60 days later, we'll have a report. From that report will tell us sort of, what the direction we may want to go in. If we look at some changes, you're probably looking at 3 to 4 to 5 months to get something like that in place, or maybe even 6 months. So it's a lengthy process to get that done. Although we'll have it completed obviously at that time. But we do share the same concern as far as the future direction of Greeno Road and trying to get some in place. I do believe if we do wait too late, the cat's out of the bag, and what we may be talking about in the visual preference survey may be behind the 8 ball on that.
Right. And council, I'm not opposed to those people who, and I'll just say it, I think they're stuck in R1 there. They can't do anything with their property. They can't sell it as R1. I do sympathize with those people, but we need to try to shape it into what the citizens want, and before it gets away from us. So just ask for your help with that. And then lastly, just for what it's worth, I had somebody ask me after the last meeting why I wasn't wearing a coat and tie right up here. And I can't get on a long sleeve shirt, and I can't get a jacket on, and I can't tie a tie with one hand. So until I get this cast off my paw, I won't be wearing one. So thanks for noticing that. With that, I'll close council comments.
Just like to mention, that'll be a $5 fine every time. Same as what you impose on us.
I'll pay it. A charity of your choice, $5 for tonight's and last meeting. How about that? Okay. We'll close council comments, and we'll move on to item number 5, which is final adoption of an ordinance to amend zoning ordinance number 1253. This was introduced at the last city council meeting. This is a request to zone the property of LA Development LLC to a plan unit development concurrent with annexation into the city of Fairhope. The property is generally located on the north side of County Road 44, approximately 900 linear feet west of State Highway 181 in Fairhope, Alabama, and you can read those tax parcel numbers. This is known as the Twin Beach Estates PUD, introduced, like I said, at the September 24th city council meeting. Buford.
And thank you, Council President. Council members, what I'd like to do tonight is I have the complete slideshow that we saw last time, and what I'd like to do is basically give the overview of the project of the annexation to PUD, and then if we have any detailed questions, we can certainly refer back to the slides because we went through everything last time in great detail. And we'll begin here. You'll see, of course, on the left we have our zoning map, and you'll see the site outlined in a red dash line. And, of course, our aerial image that we customarily provide with these types of cases you'll see there on the right of your screen.
Can I stop you right there, too?
Yes, sir.
While we're on that slide.
Yes, sir.
If you look below the subject property in that slide, and you see rectangles drawn on the property below, are those existing lots, or is that just what could be put on that land? Because I don't know that that's developed like that right now.
Yes, sir, Council President. That's a good observation. And to avoid redrawing a map that I painstakingly drew several months ago, the line should incorporate those lots fronting upon Twin Beach. So the subdivision case that we heard, or the Planning Commission heard related to this, actually subdivides the subject property that is outlined as well as replats those lots fronting on Twin Beach. There was a Twin Beach Estates subdivision case about 2 years ago. And so those lots were created but were not annexed into the city. So the effect this will have combined with the subdivision case is replatting those. And I do have on screen, we'll have on screen for you tonight is the actual plat associated with the subdivision.
Yep.
So we'll get to that slide.
It's almost,
Yes,
if you
sir.
look at that picture, though, it almost looks like a grid of city streets and lots, and it almost looks like it's developed. It kind of threw me.
Yes, sir.
at first.
And for the council members' information, when you see us at staff produce our maps, sometimes to make the aerial image clearer and easier to read, sometimes we'll change the parcel lines to either a red or a white line, and sometimes it may appear as streets when you're zoomed out to this level. So absolutely. So we'll see the plat for the subdivision portion of the case here in just a moment. But just for the sake of time, just to reintroduce, and the council president read the background information, what I'd call to everyone's attention here, of course, is that the development's requesting 72 lots on 22.6 acres. That gives a 3.19 units per acre density, development density. And then what I'll call your attention to here, this is the basic information for the lots. And the average lot size that the subdivision proposes is just over 7,800 square feet. You'll see the various setback information right there. Much of it mirrors, as far as accessory structures, that mirrors the zoning ordinance. And one thing we discussed last time is we gave a breakdown. We broke down the lot sizes for you here, and this is a little bit difficult to see. And I apologize last time for not having the actual subdivision plat on screen. It was in your press packet. So we broke down here the various lot sizes that make up this development because it is a PUD requesting different lot sizes. They're color-coded as you see there on screen. And what we'll do next is we'll examine the actual plat of the subdivision. So on the far right, you'll see Twin Beach Road on the far right. What I'd call it to your attention to here is the density transition that this PUD proposes. So you'll notice the lots colored in a reddish pinkish color. Those are your largest lots, and all of those are at least 12,000 square feet. For reference purposes, an R1 lot is 15,000 square feet, and an R2 zone lot would be 10,500 square feet. You'll notice the green lots are all at least 10,200 square feet. And one of the density transition measures the developer's engineer proposed was putting the larger lots right along Twin Beach Road to have that density compliance with the development to the south side of Twin Beach Road, because all of its lots are at least 100 feet wide and at least 15,000 square feet. You'll see the tan color or yellow colored lots are at least 9,000 square feet. The blue colored lots are at least 8,000 square feet. The remainder of the lots are the smaller 6,200 square foot lots that are still remaining in their white outline. And so what I'd like to do here is forward through and bring you to the details of the staff recommendation. Now, last time, and you'll see here very quickly, last time we went through it in great detail explaining those lots along Twin Beach Road, how the density compliance occurs, and the measures taken by the developer and staff to handle that higher density this PUD proposes. And so we'll forward through that. And so what I'd like to conclude here with is just to reiterate the staff recommendation. And we noted last time the increases to the lot sizes over what they originally submitted. You have a transition from larger lots to smaller lots. The smallest lots are located farthest away from the areas of the lowest density, which is along Twin Beach Road in this case. The proposed PUD's development design includes compatibility measures to mitigate the impacts of the immediate adjoining properties, including, first of all, the subject property is entirely bordered on the east, north, and west by existing vegetation. That shall remain in place. Subject property is bordered on the south by a green space. There's an additional requirement for green space. They are furnishing additional green space and an area with a retention pond. That creates a buffer from the properties on the south side of Twin Beach Road. This is above and beyond the right-of-way setback required by Twin Beach Road. So in addition to the right-of-way setback, you have an additional green space, but that green space is not counted toward the green space requirements of the subdivision regulations. So that's above and beyond the requirement. The smaller 52-foot wide lots, in the initial application, all of the lots were 52 feet wide. So now you see you have outer perimeter lots that are 75 feet wide. All but one of the lots running on Twin Beach Road are at least 100 feet wide. And as we stated earlier, the average size is 7,828 square feet, which is similar to an R3 zoning district. And so there are some examples of R3 close by, including River Mill, Callaway Place, and Fairfield Place, are examples of developments zoned R3. So that brings us to our staff recommendation. What we note here is this case, ZC 18.02, it was approved by the Planning Commission on May 7th of this year, and SD 1824 is the subdivision case related to this same case. That was approved on July 2nd. So the condition of approval of the subdivision case is final approval of this zoning change and annexation. So therefore, staff recommends the requested conditional annexation to plan unit development be approved. And council members, I'm happy to answer any questions. We also have the engineer of record representing the developer is also here with us today.
How much of the percentage of the development is green space now? I think you may have had it on one of the previous slides.
Council President, I don't believe I included that on this set of slides, but if you will indulge me just a moment, it was greater than 10%. It was greater than 10% that qualified as green space, and I apologize, I may not have it in here in the zoning change case. Of course, we covered that in the subdivision case. No, sir, I don't have it. My apologies to the council. But it was definitely greater than 10%.
Council, do you have any questions, Mr. King? And by the way, Councilman Boone is abstaining from this vote. Any questions? Any discussion? I have a little bit. I'm going to give you all an opportunity to speak. I have a little bit of heartache with this, council, and why this one? It's just that 29% greater density than the surrounding area. Lot sizes average of about 0.18 acres, and we're out on the fringes of the city, and we're getting more and more dense. And this is a PUD. They're asking to be annexed. I'm struggling with it. I'm struggling with the density. I'm struggling with the density there. Now, let me tell you the other conundrum that we're in right now, council. Robert Brown's not here. Councilman Boone's abstaining. If I was to vote, or if any vote was 2-1 and not 3-0 in this vote, it would not pass, because you have to have the majority of the voting members vote in favor or against, which would require 3 votes. So I say that to be fair and honest. I'm struggling with it, and you may want to table this until you get Councilman Brown back here. I don't know his vote at all. I'm trying to be fair. If I vote no, though, it'll be voted down. Yes.
Good evening, Council. My name is Doug Chaffin with Sawgrass.
Yeah.
I'm representing the project. I'm the engineer of record. We've gone through the process. We've met with planning and gone through. We had a more dense subdivision when we started the process. We've tried to incorporate, and I'm sorry, I don't know either the exact number of the amount of green space that we've provided here. I know it's a little bit more than we were required. We have gone through the process, though, of trying to take what we have, a little more dense lots. We put them in the middle of the subdivision and provided the largest green space that we could to the back of the lots to kind of give them a little more room, a little more area for the smaller lots in the neighborhood. We've gone to limits to try to preserve all the green space around the boundaries of the site. Met with Richard on this and come up with what I think is one of the better concepts from a LID perspective in this, from stormwater treatment. I'm the engineer on this, so that's mostly what we do. But we've come up with a subdivision that I think lays out well and provides maximum stormwater quality throughout the subdivision, protection from over-detention. We have met with planning and come up with a plan that we all agreed upon, that the densities worked in the area and fit well within that subdivision. Again, I'm the engineer, so I'd be glad to answer any questions to that. I don't know that I can get anywhere the density is what we're proposing with the PUD, and I understand that. But we have gone through the process to try to develop something that works with the property, that works with the green space that we provided, and gone through steps to minimize the impact around it as far as that goes.
And I applaud you for that, and, the larger lots fronting Twin Beach, and, and as you go towards the center, it's more dense, but when you annex into the city of Fairhope without going through this process, you automatically, you come in as R1. And the PUD vehicle, it seems like everything we see now is a PUD. Everything's a PUD because if you do this, this, and this, and there's no, there's, you can put in this, what I'm going to say is high density. It may not be high density to you, but it's, for that area out there, I think that it's fairly high density. I don't know where it ends. I don't know where the growth of this city is going to end if we don't start standing up to PUDs and saying it's too dense. Well, I'm going to give the council a chance to table it if you want, or I'll entertain a motion for final adoption. Do I hear a motion for either?
I understand your position, and I understand the conundrum of voting or not, but I don't know that it would be good form for us as a council to postpone a vote because of what we hope the outcome of the vote might be. I think we're here, we vote as a council, and whatever the outcome is, the outcome is. And so I'll make a motion for final adoption.
Okay, have a motion. Do I have a second?
I may actually need some clarification real quick from city attorney, Marcus, if you don't mind. Well, I'm just asking, I'm comfortable with the project, but I'm asking about the situation.
Better err on the side of caution.
I'm sorry.
Engineer. Can't do that.
They could. They could ask that. Yeah.
I'm gonna give it an option.
And I'm also hearing, am I hearing what I
I think I'm gonna probably have to abstain, I'm afraid.
So we don't even have enough to vote?
No.
No, we don't have enough to vote tonight.
We don't have enough to vote.
No.
What we're, is, Councilman Conyers is abstaining as well, which doesn't even give us a simple majority to even have a vote. And I'm not certain in this circumstance if we have to even table it. Do you know, clerk, in that I've never had this circumstance happen.
I've never had the circumstance.
Because we can't vote to table it with two people voting. But we could ask the developer. I was trying to give him every opportunity
Or lay it over.
to lay, or just lay over. I think it would just automatically lay over, wouldn't it?
I think so.
I don't think you'd
I
have to.
think it would automatically
Yes,
lay
I'll
over.
ask that if you will hold it over.
Either at your request or automatic, would you be
Yes,
fine
I'm
with that?
requesting that you would hold it over.
Okay, all right. Well, we can't take a vote on that, so it'll lay over.
Y'all got me nervous that I need to abstain from voting on it too. Am I connected to it in some way I don't realize?
Okay, laid over.
Okay, sorry for that. Sometimes it goes that way. All right, item number 6 is an ordinance to repeal and replace ordinance number 1176, ordinance number 1222, and ordinance number 1531, known as the City of Fairhope's lodging tax ordinance. And council, I want to point out to you that there is language that you will see in your binder on effective date. It needs to be changed to, instead of saying shall take effect immediately upon its due adoption and publication, it should state, this ordinance shall become effective on the first day of December 2018 and shall be in full force upon its adoption and publication as required by law. Now, that needs to be changed, or you need to make a note of that before the ordinance is introduced. So with that change, would somebody like to introduce the ordinance?
I'll introduce it.
Okay,
I will let Kevin introduce it.
all right. Ordinance has been introduced. All right. Do we have anybody from the planning department who wants to speak to that, or we just need to open this up to council discussion?
That would be Revenue Department.
The revenue department want to speak to it? I think council can cover it. Jimmy, what was that projected revenue divided by 1.75, 480?
It was 482, I believe.
Okay, so if it was 4% lodging tax, it'd be about 482,000 projected revenue, and it was 75% more than that. What was that number? 800,000?
Yeah, 8 something was written down. Here, but, well,
800,000 roughly in revenue.
850, somewhere around there.
Okay. So council, what I'd like to state is that, you know, we've talked about utility rate increases, and I've heard it said, if we don't need to raise them, let's not raise them for the sake of raising them. Although this doesn't impact our citizens, except for those that are having a staycation that might be staying in town for the weekend, and you know, and that would affect them at that point in time, and it would affect all the businesses across the board that collect lodging taxes, and all those are good arguments. And I even heard an argument that it would reduce our reliance on utilities and utility transfers, and that's a good argument. But raising it up to 7% because everybody else in the county is at that or higher, to me is not a good, in my opinion, not a good reason to raise it up so high. And I want to point back to 5 or 6 years ago when Fairhope was voted the most business-friendly city in the state of Alabama. And there were several different criteria that we were judged upon, and one of those was taxes. We don't have the highest sales tax in the county either, and I'm proud that we don't. And in fact, I wish we could lower it. But be that as it may, I'm not crazy about raising lodging taxes to you know, one of the highest levels in the county, even if we're just equaling somebody else. And so what I would ask is if y'all would consider going to only 6% as opposed to 7%, and I'll just ask for some feedback on that before we just become, it's easy when you're an elected official to tax and spend. It's hard to do it, to live within your means. And I'm not in favor of just automatically raising every tax that we can to the maximum amount that we feel that we can.
So, you're proposing a change from 7 to 6. What about the 3.5? Do you have any suggestion on that, or you?
It's half.
What's the 3.5?
So
Oh, it'd
It
be
would be
3 in the, it'd be
three.
3 in the
It'd go
police
three.
jurisdiction.
It'd go on that, okay.
It'd be half of that, yeah, so it'd automatically be half.
So it'd be,
three.
instead of 7, the proposed 7 and 4, it'd be 6 and 3. Which
Correct.
would be a raise from 4 and 2.
Correct. Be a 50% increase.
This is an increase that our taxpayers would welcome because it's not an increase that they're going to have to pay. It's a pass-through that everybody expects to pay when they travel. And we're not raising it to the maximum. You can raise it more than that, but we're just doing it in line with Spanish Fort and Daphne, which I feel like we probably could have higher lodging than them. It's not like our lodging is a premium because we don't have that many accommodations. And we're not talking about a lot of money and a lot of beds here. I mean, we have a limited amount. There should be a premium on it. It's not going to affect negatively anyone because it's a pass-through expense. And I think this is one of the very few pass-through expenses that, you know, we can do, and there really is no negativity. Because when people go to a restaurant even, you know, they tip what they want, and it's just something that they expect to do. I don't know. I just think this one's not one that you need to lower from the recommended. I was going to do higher, but I just
All right,
kept
thank you.
it.
Thank you, Mayor. I know that you proposed it to 7, so I know what your opinion is, and I gave my opinion, so thank you for that. I mean, I think that tourists may disagree. It may they may feel that they don't want to pay that much. And I'm not big on raising taxes. It's just, I'm uncomfortable at 6, but I'm trying to find a compromise position and see if I can talk y'all down off of that 7 a little bit. 75% increase in the lodging tax to me is extraordinary.
I guess I'd have to ask, when is the last time this has been changed in Fairhope? Do we know?
When it was imposed, and I looked at it.
That was mid-2000s.
So I'm not really in favor of raising taxes either, but given the choice, I'd rather raise the lodging taxes. More than likely going to impact people who are visiting here than a tax that would impact citizens who live and work here. I mean, I could live with a 6%.
Your comment on utility rates is that let's wait and see if we need the money. Do you know that we need the money?
We're still running at a deficit, even with this.
We have how many millions in reserves right now? I mean, how many tens of millions have we bragged about having?
It's not like they're going to go unused. I mean, we do have plans for this money. We haven't really spent money in the last 2 years. This money that we could, a little bit of it can be invested in raising sales tax. I mean, increasing the sales tax income and lodging income.
I personally have no problem with the 6%, but I do feel it need to be raised in the event of the amount of infrastructure that's being used through the tourists that really aren't paying what we have to pay for it. So that's the whole reason I think the increase needs to be done. Basically, it taxes sewer, water, and gas, electric. They're not paying the rates there.
Okay. I'm going to pass the gavel down to Councilman Robbins. Will you hand that down to him? Because I'm going to make a motion. I'm going to make a motion to amend the ordinance to increase it to 6 and 3.
I'll second that.
Oh, I got to do something
You-
now?
all those in favor?
Sorry, I was twirling the gavel. I was twirling. All right, I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor of amending the ordinance, say aye. Or you got to call a question? All those in
Not the
favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. All right, motion to amend the ordinance passes.
You can hand it back.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Nice job.
You're welcome.
I was going to throw something at you. All right. Any further discussion, or I'll call for a motion for final adoption as amended? Okay. Any no further comments? I'll ask for a motion for final adoption as amended.
I don't know, doesn't it sit over 2 weeks?
If you want it to. It's
I'm
up to you.
sorry. Yeah, we could lay it over.
See.
Or ask for,
You're welcome.
I'm going to, because they have to do a lot of paperwork. I'll pass that again. Pass that down to him again. I'm going to make a motion to suspend with the rules for vote for immediate consideration.
All right, clerk, you got a motion and a second. Clerk, will you call a question?
Council President,
Aye.
place 2.
No. Motion fails.
It'll lay over.
Laid over 2 weeks.
Lays over 2 weeks.
All right. Okay. Been a fun meeting. We'll move on to item 7. This is a resolution to reject all bids for erosion control and stabilization of Rock Creek for the Public Works Department authorized to negotiate a contract with the one bidder. All right. Richard?
Council President, member of the council, this is probably dead on arrival, but we do have to go through the process. This was a project that was probably initiated 18 to 20 months ago, that was somewhat inherited upon my arrival. The The issue at hand is we have a stream degradation problem that is in the proximity of the bridge that leads into Rock Creek. There also is a gravity sewer line there on the south side, downstream side of the bridge. And that problem has not gotten any better. It has worsened over time. The issue at hand is that when the design engineer initially gave you some preliminary budgetary numbers, it was in the 300,000. By the time my involvement got in there, we put a placeholder in the budget at 650,000, and when we opened the bids, we're 934,000. We do have the opportunity and the right through the public bid law to at least look at some value engineering options and come back to you. I do not know if I do not believe that there is enough value engineering options to make it a viable number for a project. So probably the next time that you'll see this will be to reject the bids in its entirety, and let's look at the ability to go back out, re-engineer, change some things, lessen the scope of the work to get that project in some reasonable budget area. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Exactly how much area are we talking about there, Richard? $1 million? I mean, how much does it cost to build a bridge there?
That bridge probably cost less than $1 million when it was built. It's about 800 linear feet of stream. The biggest challenge is we've had about 7 vertical feet of grade loss. If you take time to look off the bridge and see the sewer line, when the bridge was built, the sewer line was underneath the stream bed. Now it sits about 5 feet above the water level. And that's one of the options that we have to look at. We got with Richard Peterson this past week. That is a gravity line that only services the bank that's on the north side of the entrance to Timber Creek and the dermatology center that's on the south side. There's an option to convert those to a grinder pump and pump it into the force main that comes across the bridge deck itself. And by eliminating, trying to protect that sewer line, it gives us a lot more options on how to fix that stream and harden it in a way where it will stop degrading and stop threatening potentially the bridge in the future. The biggest challenge that we had is that the scope of work that was started with in the design was to cover that sewer line and protect it. So that ended up applying a sheet piling on the downstream side so that there could be a backfill and bring that stream up and then actually drop it off the sheet pile into a plunge pool and then step it down as it goes back to its normal channel downstream. Just so you know, the sheet piling in this bid alone was nearly $150,000, and that's a specialty sublet of the general contractor, and was a big cost driver that if it could be eliminated, and a grinder pump and a little bit of force mains considerably cheaper than $150,000 worth of sheet piles. So that's going to be one of the things that we look at if we do go back out to bid, how to reconfigure all that so that we can get this cost somewhere back into an acceptable range.
Any questions for Mr. Johnson? Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. We have a motion to reject all bids.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of rejecting all bids, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion passes. Thank you, council. Item 8 is a resolution, the City of Fairhope vote to purchase annual maintenance agreement for the dispatch console, field implementation service, and system upgrade for the radios used by the Fairhope Volunteer Fire Department for Motorola Solutions as sole source distributor, and authorizes procurement based on the option allowed by the Code of Alabama. The cost will be $24,180.88. Entertain a motion for this purchase.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We on budget, Jimmy?
819,
Can't pull it
12
up.
under.
Any questions from Jeff or for Jeff? Did you want to say something, Jeff?
I do want to say one thing.
Yeah.
There was a mix-up with Motorola. Either a new system, new people. I'm not sure, but this was supposed to come to you back in February. They've let it lapse this long, so don't be surprised in February I come back with the same exact thing.
Okay, I'm glad you wanted to say that. Well, did we get something out of them? Did we get something out of them? Did we get our annual? Did we use our annual maintenance?
Oh, we've
agreement during
used
that time?
it. Yeah, they provide excellent support. I mean, when we have issues with our dispatch consoles, they're here within an hour, easy. And this is actually for the Fairhope Police Department at the Volunteer Fire Department. I'm not sure how that got mixed up, but these are the consoles used by the police department.
Do we need to clarify that, clerk? I think we might.
Yes, you do.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
second.
Can I ask somebody to withdraw the motion?
I withdraw the motion.
Okay. We have somebody to amend the resolution. It said used by the Fairhope Police Department and Fairhope Volunteer Fire Department.
I'll amend as such.
Okay. We have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of amending it as stated, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, I think that's the proper thing to do. It's amended. Okay, any further discussion? Well, let's get a motion now to approve as amended.
I make a motion to approve as amended.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? Okay, great. Hearing none, all those in favor of the amended motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, motion carries. Thank you, council. Item 9 is a resolution. The city council approves the selection of Mott McDonald to perform professional engineering services and a feasibility study of hardening a pre-existing metal building at Pecan Street, and approves and accepts the not-to-exceed amount of $9,500, and hereby authorizes Mayor Karen Wilson to execute a contract with Mott McDonald LLC for the same. Entertain a motion to approve the selection.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries. Item 10 is a resolution. The city council approves the selection of Hudson Reed Group for professional architecture design services for the renovation of the Pecan Street building for offices, and approves and accepts the not-to-exceed amount of $9,000, and hereby authorizes Mayor Karen Wilson to execute a contract with HRG, known as Hudson Reed Group, for the same. Entertain a motion to approve the selection.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Mayor, where are they out of? Are they from here?
Which one?
Hudson Reed Group?
Oh, I don't know. It would be, did you choose it?
They're here on the eastern shore somewhere. I don't know if they're actually in the city limits or not, but I'll find out. That's Jeff Hudson,
Who selected them then?
mayor.
I selected based on their recommendation.
Okay. I wasn't familiar with them. Okay.
I mean, they're more experienced than I am.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay. Motion carries. Item 11 is a resolution, nope, that's been stricken from the agenda, actually. Item 12 is a resolution that the City of Fairhope votes to award a 3-year lease purchase of golf course mower and utility vehicles for the golf department. The equipment is available for direct procurement through the Sourcewell Purchasing Co-op, and therefore does not have to be let out for bid. It's been nationally bid through Sourcewell's bid process. The total cost will be $202,492.44, or $5,624.79 per month. Was this budgeted in last year's budget?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Was it budgeted to be leased last year in the budget?
Yeah. This is the
End of the third year.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, how are you doing? Yes, this was budgeted last year. We've had, our current lease is actually ending on like October the 25th. In order to get it through to November 1st is when price increases generally happen. So we were trying to get this thing, get it approved, since it does actually, the current lease actually expires on October 25th.
Jack, there's $2,300 on the budget.
Well, I'm trying to look at that number. It looks
But
like,
the
it looks
actual
like it's
budget-
that much over. It's,
The actual budget number they put in there, I believe, the last payments for the last 3 years has been about 53 something. I think there's about $270 more per month over the next 3 years versus what we paid over the last 3.
okay.
And it's a separate line item somewhere in the budget. I'm not sure exactly where Jill has it, but that's the numbers that she had given me on Friday.
Jay, I know they put that 2319 in parentheses, but I think it's actually 2319
Well-
over, isn't it?
And I was looking at the projected cost of $61,872, and then the projected budget of 64,000 and thinking that that was the difference.
I had asked this very question, and
Oh.
I asked Mike to clarify it, and I have the email here. And this is what I wanted attached to the, so it made sense, but basically,
Oh, you're right, I see that up above
You
it
see
now,
it?
Jay.
Oh,
Yeah.
you have it?
What we
Okay.
originally, there was a slight pricing increase on the equipment through NJPA.
Well, we got to have it. Really, my reason for asking those questions was I know that last year in the budget, we went through, and there were some of the capital purchases that made sense to lease in our council's opinion, and there were some that we thought it made sense to purchase. And that's why I asked, is when we budgeted it, was this actually budgeted to be leased as opposed
Yes,
to
yes, it
purchased?
was.
Okay.
I provided Jill with a budgeted lease number
Okay.
for the next 3 years.
I got you. Okay. Where are we, clerk? We have a motion, a second yet?
No, sir, you need
Okay, I'll
one.
entertain a motion to lease these items.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just wanted to ask, since we've got several items, I think on the pending budget that also are being proposed for leases, are we being charged any kind of interest on this? I mean, is this a way to just to, is the purchase price in total over 3 years going to be the same as if we wrote a check for it today?
It varied in the last year's budget, Jimmy, and having looked at all those, it varied. And, we just kind of made a judgment call that, if it wasn't saving us a lot of money to do it over 3 years, we'd lease it. And if it looked like it was a
Okay.
significant savings, we'd buy it outright.
Okay.
Yeah, because you were dealing with some of them that, some of these pieces of equipment were supposed to, had sort of a 3 or 4 year shelf life, and then we're
Right.
paying X amount more to lease or less to lease, then we're not having the maintenance issues or anything
Right.
like that.
Right.
Which that was one of the issues, is why we went ahead and leased, because after about 3 years, the fairway units, some of those units get, the hours get up there, then it's just, we got a pretty rough terrain out there, so, and, it's not a real smooth terrain to cut on, so we usually, about 3 years is about all you're gonna get out from a cutting unit standpoint.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeff. Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'll call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion passes. Thank you, council. Item 13 is a resolution that the city of Fairhope vote to repair the backup three-phase 1,000 kilovolt amp transformer for the electric department and authorizes procurement without formal bid based on the option allowed by the Code of Alabama. The cost will be $11,418.34. Entertain a motion
So
to vote to
moved.
repair this.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions? Any questions for the smoker back there? Okay. All right, hearing no questions, I am kidding for those that are watching, picking on Jeremy. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay. Motion passes. Thank you, council. Item 14 is a resolution that Mayor Karen Wilson is hereby authorized to execute a contract with DocWa Incorporated for utilization of DocWa Marina Reservation Management Software, DocWa Basic Public Listing on the DocWa Network, mobile apps, and docwa.com for the Fairhope docks. Lynn, did you think it would ever even get on the agenda?
No.
What would you recommend we do with this?
I think,
I will, and I'm not even asking for discussion. I think we've talked about DocWa for long enough. I'm going to just go ahead and entertain a motion to execute this contract. We have a motion?
Second.
And a second. All right. Any discussion? I'll ask just in case. All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. And Mr. City Attorney, I know you are okay with that, or it would have never made it, right?
I'm okay with it. It's such a small contract, and we ran afoul of, thought they had some local vendors here in the state, but as it turns out, they do not, and they don't even have local counsel. I think it's more like 2 men and some DocWa software group up in Rhode Island or something that got this thing out, so I don't anticipate any problems with it.
All right, I'm going to have to cut you off. You're on the clock. All right, item 15 is a resolution the City of Fairhope elects to keep ordinance number 1471 in place and will not be participating in the severe weather preparedness tax holiday. So we keep the same ordinance in place, we're just not forgiving people on the severe weather holiday. That's just something that City of Fairhope's not participated in a long time. I'll entertain a motion to keep the ordinance in place.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, and we're just required to take a vote on this every year.
Every year.
Otherwise, I mean, we thought about it having the ordinance, it would just roll over, we wouldn't have to do that, so. We have a motion and a second, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion passes. Item 16 is a resolution the City of Fairhope hereby adopts and approves this section of the community development budget for FY 2018 to 2019, which only applies to city events and city-sponsored events. I have some notes for you, council, pertaining to the handout given to us in the work session, page 1, community events budget 2019. I'm going to call that's Exhibit 1. Page 2, we call that Exhibit 2. The miscellaneous contract writing services in the amount of $7,500 is being stricken from that column, which would bring that grand total of that column to $36,000. And the tourism portion of that budget, the $30,000 column, would remain intact. So one change among that I think we all agreed to. This was not in the this was not in your book, so I think that I can just make those statements and we could adopt it as is. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adopt that portion of the budget.
So moved.
Second.
We have a second. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, item 17 is an appointment of Marina Manager Sean C. as a city liaison to the Harbor Board. This would just be replacing our former Marina Manager in that same position.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Okay. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, appointment is made. Item 18 is an application for a beer wine on-off premises license by Elizabeth Hammock for CAVU 16 LLC doing business as The Mill located at 85 North Bancroft Street, Suite A, Fairhope, Alabama. Everything good? The application? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the application.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of approving the application, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion passes. Item 19 is a request from Patricia Lee, founder and international program director, requesting the approval to have their Indian Festival of Lights on Saturday, November 3rd, 2018, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. in the Fairhopers Community Park in downtown Fairhope. I guess I'll ask staff, we've made sure that we didn't book a birthday party or anything like that at that park that night, right?
Yeah.
Before we double book it.
There's no bookings. That park is first come, first serve, and we don't have anything booked.
Okay, fantastic.
There's nobody there yet.
I'll entertain a motion to grant this request.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Officer, any reason to deny this request? Okay, all right. All those in favor of the request, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay. Public participation for non-agenda items. If there's anything else to bring forth before the council, you'll have 3 minutes. If you'll come to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Ben Smith, 217 South Mobile Street. Mr. President and Council, I have a question, just concern for have good understanding. I think it's the one that you sustained. Which one was that? What's the number? Because I didn't get one of these earlier.
That we didn't vote on?
Yes.
Number 5, I
Number
think.
5.
Number 5. Okay, number 5. Jack, you said if you abstained, but had you not abstained, Jack said he'd vote no, and it's a dead issue, correct?
It would have been defeated because you did not have, to pass an ordinance, you have to have a majority of the voting body and not just of the members present. And our voting body is 5, so you have to have 3 affirmative to pass any business.
Okay, I understand that.
Okay.
So in the future, when this comes up again, would it not be Jimmy and Kevin abstaining again?
That's correct.
Okay, and that leaves three
That
people.
leaves three. It'd have to be unanimous.
So if you vote no, then it's dead issue, right?
That's correct.
Okay. I don't understand why we didn't do it tonight.
You couldn't vote on it tonight because we didn't have
You
a
didn't have
quorum
majority.
to vote.
You didn't have a quorum to vote with two of us left,
Okay,
with two abstaining.
okay, I got you. And the other thing on the taxes, we should go to 7. Don't put taxes on us who live here as much as we have on our visitors. I mean, our visitors should pay more. It's just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to close public participation. Thank you, and I have a letter to read from the city attorney regarding the executive session. This states, as city attorney, I, Marcus McDowell, hereby request the Fairhope City Council go into an executive session based on Alabama code to discuss pending litigation and possible settlement options regarding impending litigation, and to discuss the consideration the city is willing to offer or accept when considering the purchase, sale, exchange, lease, or market value of real property. The discussions could have a detrimental effect upon the competitive position of the city in the negotiations if the matter was discussed in public. As city attorney, I, sit next to me, I hereby request the city council of the city of Fairhope rise from regular city council meeting on Monday, October the 8th, 2018, to go into executive session. The city council shall be in executive session for approximately, what do you think, 45 minutes or an hour? Less? For approximately 45 minutes. At the end of the executive session, the city council shall return to the city council chambers to resume regular city council meeting. And for all of those in attendance, I do not anticipate us taking any action, passing any motions or resolutions when we come back. Okay, so I will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay. Entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.